a lake back there.
The snow in Ontario, we're recording just so everybody knows. The snow in Ontario is crazy. It's still crazy, and it's a little less cold. It's like -3 today, and we're supposed to get some plus weather in the next week. But and it's getting messy. Like it's certainly getting pretty messy out there right now. It's not messy like on the roads or anything like that. It seems like all of the storm stuff has been cleaned up, but when this all melts, it's going to be a bonanza. It's going to be wild. I heard on the radio, I think I may have mentioned this. I've been telling everybody that we haven't had as much snow on the ground since 2001 or all at once. I don't know if it's snow on the ground exactly or if it's like the accumulation in such a short period of time, because I think we've had this much snow on the ground since 2001. I remember a big snowstorm in like 2006. But it's
2 years ago, didn't we have a lot of snow?
The winter of 2020 into 2021, there was a lot. It was a very, very snowy winter. But I don't think we got, so it must be the accumulation. We didn't get the big banks. Like every time we'd get an accumulation, there'd be like a warm up and it would all melt. And then we get another big accumulation. And then, or it just we didn't get one of those big storms. Like it didn't stop snowing for a week. Like it snowed for a week, which is just crazy. You know what I mean? So, and it's been like, it's fun. I'm not complaining. It's been good, but my arm still hurts from shoveling all the snow.
So we had to get the snowblower out several times a day.
Yeah. We had something like this in March 1980. I remember it was massive, but it was nice out. And like I remember that year, even skiing, we were up in the mountains till July. Like they shut it down because they weren't getting enough people. But yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah,
and you get that right. Like I've seen it before too, where we were when I was younger in pipelining and that, man, we were February. We were like shirts off, this, that, the other thing, and then it got crappy over the summer, and spent the entire summer pumping. You know, like pumping out ditches and flooded stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember. Like it's pretty usual in Ontario. How's it going over? It's pretty usual to have a little warm up. Like it's not unusual in like late January, like January 20th, February. You get a warm up and things start melting and getting terrible and stuff. But this year it's been just cold. But it seems like it's starting to thaw out a little tiny bit. And like next week we're supposed to get warm, but then we're not even supposed. It's -6 on March 7th, like according to my weather app. So it's gonna be a very late spring maybe this year in Ontario. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, seen that before too, though. Like I mean, there's nothing more fun than going on spring bear hunting and freezing your ass off.
Right. I've never done a bear hunt, but I've done ice fishing. And I was like, it's really cold in this hut. Like my feet are really cold. It was very cold.
You kind of want it a little colder. You don't want that ice.
Yeah, well, for real, right? All the people parked on the ice definitely wanted to stay cold. All right, so I want to talk about the U.S. because Trump's been trolling the heck out of Canada, and I think it's funny as all get out. What do you think? Do you think there's gold in Fort Knox? Do you guys anybody think that there is gold or there isn't gold? MC's shaking his head no. My opinion is, like I think that we've been the victims of a massive theft, and the massive theft is ongoing still. And I don't know if Trump's exposing it, but the moves that he's making, well, USAID seems to be exposing it. And then this Fort Knox play, he seems like he knows something that other people don't know. You know what I mean? Like it seems like he is aware of something enough to bring up, hey, Fort Knox might not have any gold in it. Yeah, sorry, Scott, I saw your hand up there, and then I was just in the middle of saying something. Go ahead.
Remember Clinton?
I do remember Monica Lewinsky.
Remember the gold payments to China, and several bars turned up that were lead? So Clinton had to give them a fighter plane in a box, and they just figured it out a couple years ago because there were 60 or 90 gyros, and they couldn't figure it out. No instructions, even, what was it, an F-15 or something like that?
Like a deconstructed, yeah. It was
deconstructed, yeah, and they lost their fucking mind over it. And the rumor was that he really wasn't deposed because of the Lewinsky shit, but it was because of the security threat that he posed by saying, look, you're mad about the fake gold? Look, here's one of our fighter jets that you want, but it's in a box. No instructions. Right?
Like, I'm not really giving you state secrets. Here's just a whole bunch of parts that you may be able to assemble in a Transformer style F-15 or whatever it is. Yeah.
It took them 20 years, but they finally figured it out.
Yeah.
So the whole deal is there gold there? Yeah. But is there the amount that's supposed to be there? Fuck no.
Okay, so you think there is gold. See, I think there's two things. Either there's no gold, or the gold that's there is owned by someone else. So you know what I mean? Like the Fed. And that's the speculation. So you think gold, or the third option is the gold has been replaced by silver or tungsten or lead, which I didn't know anything about the Bill Clinton thing. I was tied up with TWA flight 800 back then, so it was. Okay, thanks, Scott. Bill, get your hand up.
Yeah, you know what? It could go one way or the other. Like there's either no gold or it's owned by somebody else.
If it's owned by somebody else, what's Trump's play?
Well, that will be the interesting part.
Because he's initiated this. Like nobody was talking. Nobody was like, "Oh, good thing Trump's in there. I wonder if he's going to audit the Fed." Well, the people were saying that. I wonder if he's going to audit Fort Knox. Like that wasn't really. I don't think that was on the list of things. And I mean, like, I'm not saying that's bad because he's basically said, "I'm going to audit everything," right? But now that he's introduced Fort Knox, it seems like there should be. He should have some kind of like follow up. He should have some kind of like. Now that we know that there's no gold,
thought of something. Yeah. It's just like I said, it'll be interesting when he does go there, and well, I guess we just have to wait and see. And it's coming up. So
Peter says, "Is possession 9/10 of the law?" And he would Trump remove whatever securities in there, put the United States military in there, and be like, "This is our gold now." And you think you own it? I mean, try and call in the debt, you snakes. Maybe. Yeah. Thanks, Bill. Do I muted you though? Do. I don't know who you are. Can you unmute? I don't think I can unmute you. Can I unmute you? No.
Dude's a buddy of mine.
Cool. He just has to unmute. I just muted him because I could hear some sounds and I wanted to. You're up, dude.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah.
Cool. All right. First of all, Mark, I'd like to say hello to you because I've been listening to you for quite a few months now. As
awesome.
Noel stated, I know Noel, and hello to everybody else that I feel like I kind of know a little bit because I've been listening to you, but you don't know me. So hello.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you. You look kind of familiar. I think I might have saw you when I was in Guelph, but that's a long story. We'll get into that maybe another time.
Sure.
Yeah, man. My brother lives in Guelph. But anyway, cool. On the Fort Knox issue, I don't think there's been gold there for quite a while. And from what I understand and what I hear, there's been a lot of gold being shipped to the U.S. in the last couple of weeks.
I heard that too, to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're trying to put it back because of the audit that's forthcoming.
Maybe. So you're saying that the people who have stolen all the gold realize that Trump is not messing around, and they're like, "Holy shit, let's get the gold back in there," so he's not going to crush that operation too? I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I'm pretty sure we all know that all the bankers are all international, and it's all funnels back up to the top like a pyramid. So it's the same people in control of all the gold all over the world anyway. So they're just, if you stole $20 from your mom's drawer and she's going to check, you put it back. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, it's very, very plausible. And like, if you listen to Catherine Austin Fitz, she's also been talking about how, and the money book, there was a money book I talked about like last year and I read it. But Fitz is kind of lining up with that as well. And it all lines up with the control grid. You know what I mean? Like if they want to get digital money kind of, as the money, then they need everybody on board. Right. So, and like having gold, that's part of it too. Right. So.
Yeah, and as Shakespeare said, the whole world is a stage, so it's all just for us. It's all just for us.
We're watching a show. Yeah, that's for sure. Yep.
100%, I agree. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Ryan.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. It's nice and warm here. It's going to be plus 11.
Nice.
Yeah. I think there is gold in Fort Knox.
Optimist.
I think Trump's, while he's recalling all his gold, all the U.S. gold back, they're going to check out Fort Knox. I think what they're going to do is they're going to get ready to crash the currency and put it back so your currency is backed by gold. But they're going to do it, I think, this in the next, like all 4 years. they're already talking about $5,000 per U.S. person, UBI, universal income.
Oh, I hope not.
For like, I think they'll start that with every three quarters of the year, but then go every month so that people don't riot. The system has to change. It's gotta change because there's so much debt out there. There's like hundreds of trillions of dollars. Mm-hmm. They can't pay it back. So yeah, I think there is gold, and that's another thing you and Bill were saying is, yeah, it might be somebody else's gold. But the U.S. government can confiscate it. They
did in 1932.
If there's an emergency and things are gonna collapse, they can confiscate it. So they're probably gonna go in there, check it out, and then find out who owns it, and then confiscate it, and then slowly build back the system, but backed by gold.
A gold backed system.
So
and then if you look at the history of the money, money resets every 60 years unless they do some creative accounting, which we're in the midst of, which is why our money is so crazy. Unless they do that to extend the life, then money resets. So I agree with you that Trump recognizes the need for a financial reset. Usually we see financial resets after major wars. The monetary system we're currently in is the same one as the post-World War II system, which Trump has an issue with because of the sweetheart deal that the United States is giving Europe with regards to tariffs, which was given to them to rebuild Europe after the Second World War, and it's just never ended, right? And that's one small issue. But so I agree with you on a monetary reset, but I find it difficult. Like if I have $1 million of fiat money in a bank account, that's a stupid idea, and I shouldn't do that. But if I had that and the fiat money became useless, that's basically the same as having a meme coin that goes to zero, right? You're like, oh shit, I have 1 million papers of nobody needs this. So how do you maintain that value? Say somebody has, if you've got assets, a lot of people don't buy assets, but if you've got assets, you retain value through that. But how would Trump transition people from a worthless dollar to a gold-backed dollar, basically resetting the financial system without people going through a massive upheaval like a war, right? I guess we're in the war right now. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, what it is they got to start slow. Like I say, they're going to give everybody $5,000 in the U.S. That's going to be every 3 quarters, and then they'll go to every 2 months, give them $5,000. They're devaluing the currency, and there's going to be hyperinflation. Prices are going to skyrocket. People are going to see it. It's going to hurt for a bit, but what he's doing is he's making it so people don't go out and riot. They can still pay their rent. They can still eat while they transition. They gotta take out the U.S. dollar. Yeah, and it's kind of screwed up because Canada, their dollar is pinned to the U.S. dollar. We have no gold. You know what? We're gonna really feel it.
Yeah,
hardcore.
Yeah.
If we buy stuff from the States, we got our Canadian dollar, but now there's going to be gold backed. They don't want our money. They're not going to want it. So we're going to be really hurting. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just they're devaluing the currency more and more and more until it's nothing.
Well, and then that helps them repay their debt. But one other thing, and Ron mentioned this, and I think you probably thought of it, Ron, as I thought of it. Would Fort Knox being empty count as an attack against the United States? Would that be like an oh my gosh moment? We have been attacked, and now we have to respond to the attack. And I think that it would classify Trump's already operating under emergency powers. But if somebody's stolen the gold in Fort Knox, that offers him and people. I remember when I was a kid, there were all sorts of cartoons kind of about Fort Knox, talking about how impenetrable it is. And, I I don't know why I remember it, but like Fort Knox was a big, not topic of discussion, but like a focus of like, oh, we're gonna do a heist in Fort Knox and all this stuff. And I was like, so it's interesting. It's interesting that this whole thing is coming down.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I think we've been in war for 2 decades. So I think it's a different war. It's not the same kind of wars, but we've been in war already. And things are coming to a head.
I don't think you're wrong. I think that it's not necessarily like we're occupied almost. Like the war started and ended, and we lost the war, and the people who won the war just stayed around to collect the to collect the continued production, and that's what's been going on. They've been stealing the gold, they've been stealing the taxes through USAID, through Global Affairs Canada, all that stuff. They just steal it, and that's the war. Is the greedy people who have occupied our government got way too greedy, and I mean, we didn't deserve it in the first place, but it got out of hand, and now we're in the midst of trying to fix that, and they have the resources to fight, and that's what we're watching, and then that's
injections and bird flu, and we're still going.
All those eggs, man, that's crazy sound. Thanks, Ryan. MC.
Yeah, okay. So I had a suspicion and I just looked it up, and so maybe I'm missing something, but Fort Knox is not Castle Grayskull. And Fort Knox is not some mystical neutral institution. Fort Knox is a United States Army facility.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So as far as having security, like Trump's security is already there as commander-in-chief. And really, like, all he has to do to know what's in there really is phone him up. Like, of course he knows. Whoever works there knows. It's amazing that it hasn't leaked out, unless there's some like rule that they're not allowed to. But I'd want to go open the door once in a while and take a look in case there's tunnelers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but if they have been trying to refill the vault at this Trump-controlled facility, that doesn't make Donald Trump look like a good guy.
It's a U.S. military controlled facility, and I think at this point, like, I don't know, you make a good point. Like, sure, the institution is under the control of the U.S. government, but so is USAID. You know what I mean? Like those people weren't like, hey, we should definitely tell Donald Trump that there's no gold here. You know what I mean? Like that was the connection I wanted to make as well. They were throwing gold bars off the Titanic. They were literally using gold bars because it's not traceable, but it is traceable to like hide. They were putting gold bars in actual genuine gold bars in safety deposit boxes that were outside of the US so they could access those funds when such time as other available sources got cut off. That was the whole point. And that's what is his name? Zedlin was talking about. Lee Zedlin, I think that's him. He was saying, I've got to find those gold bars, and he found them and he's returning them. So there's some digital bars, but there were some real genuine gold bars that were moved off site to somewhere so they could get them later. So I thought that was interesting.
But the bars do have gold bars traditionally have had distinctive characteristics, right?
If you melt it down.
No, there's something stamped into them like a symbol or serial number and stuff like that. Like you couldn't just go get like 20 different kinds of 20 million random gold bars and haul them all to Fort Knox and put them in there like, oh yeah, look, right. The gold's here. Like presumably they'll bring someone who knows something about gold who'll go like, oh yeah, this is the same gold we put in here a long time ago, or no, this is different gold. This is from London or wherever, right?
Yeah. See this identifier.
Yeah. But at the same time, Fort Knox is peanuts anyways, full or empty, because as everybody knows, all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills in somebody else's name.
Yes. The
ancient reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I don't get that joke.
It was a song.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry, man.
A long time ago.
There's 20. There's supposed to be 27 tons. It's supposed to be 27 tons of gold. You know what I mean? Like that's. I don't know what the monetary value of that is. Like we could ask ChatGPT maybe. Can somebody ask ChatGPT what the monetary value of 27 tons of gold is? But like, it's not. Are you saying it's peanuts because of like the scale of the rest of the theft?
No, it was totally a joke. Although
okay.
I will say this, since you brought it up, 27 tons. It seems to me a pallet jack can lift a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So 27 pallet jacks of gold. Whoop-de-doo. That doesn't even fill up the gymnasium.
The building looks a little big. It looks a lot. Yeah, it's a lot big. So that's what Trump said yesterday. I think he said 27 tons. But I could be misremembering. Maybe it's 270 tons.
If it's a big building, then that's just a little pile in the corner or something. Like what's the rest of
how
the
big do you want the building? 3 gymnasiums. How do you measure that, right? When was Fort Knox built?
ChatGPT says that's 2.5 trillion. So yeah, we're off on that.
2.5 trillion. Okay. Ask ChatGPT how much gold is supposed to be in Fort Knox. Sorry, ChatGPT's checking something for us. Thanks, Ron.
No time for it. How much gold? And this is a page description. I'm an idiot, but.
No. I mean, like it can stitch things up and it can do things. It works really well with certain data sets and things like that. I tried to do there was Dr. Tam's emails. Sorry, getting off Fort Knox for a second. Dr. Tam's emails were released by Brett. He'd been doing a Freedom of Information and he got them. And so I put all of these pages into ChatGPT and into Grok, and ChatGPT couldn't find anything of interest at all. I had some keywords to look for, which are in the document. Couldn't find anything of interest at all. So like, I certainly wouldn't believe ChatGPT if like for any data that needs verifying, right? But if I'm looking to combine spreadsheets or things like that, then like it works well. It's a good tool. It's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. You can do a lot of things with it, but you shouldn't trust it because it'll color the walls if you don't watch it. You know what I mean? Like it'll just draw on the walls with crayon. It's crazy. Did it come back with how much gold is supposed to be in Fort Knox?
Yeah, well, I just put it in the chat there. 4385 metric tons, but yeah, only 432 billion. So yeah, MC's right. It's a drop in the hat, really.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why we're talking about it.
Because it's flashy, right? It's flashy. It seems like a really big deal, right? So what?
Is an ounce of gold 3,000 or is it 40,000 or is it 50 or 100,000? Like
that's the real question. Yeah,
they haven't been telling us the truth what it's really worth.
That's true
from the debt. So it could be a lot. I mean, 100,000 an ounce.
Yeah. So you're saying that, and silver is artificially kept low because silver is an important component in iPhones and computers and things like that. So if the silver price went to $1,000 an ounce, nobody's affording a laptop. It's not happening. So they artificially keep it low. So you're saying, and just so everybody understands, that because the value of the currency has been debased so much, gold is artificially low. And if people understand the real value of the currency, then the value of gold would actually be closer, instead of being $2,000 an ounce or $3,000 an ounce, which it is now, it would actually be closer to $50,000 or $100,000 an ounce because of how much they've effed around with the currency. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, they have fake pieces of paper that say
you can buy gold. Yeah, right. Yeah, paper gold. Don't buy paper gold. You only own the gold or the silver that you physically have in your hand. That is a good adage to live by. Yes, indeed. Okay.
But a ton is roughly 35,000 ounces. So this math that adding up to $432 billion doesn't really add up to me. I think that's low. Or the tons is high.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out.
ChatGPT a liar, MC?
Heaven forbid.
I want to talk 51st state, and I want to talk. You're up next, but I want to talk 51st state, and I want to talk the release. And I don't have this written down, but I will. The release of the Epstein list, and without connecting something else, I feel like the release of the Epstein list is just like, I'm the lucky guy who gets to release the Epstein list. who should I put at the top of it? You know, like who do I hate most? Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? Like if you've got so much power with this, and then you could just kill them all, not really kill them all, but destroy their reputation just by having them on this list with nothing else attached to it. And I feel like there's something hinky there about that, right? Like I think there needs to be some kind of standard of something to back up this list. Otherwise, the list is a list of like, get them, you know what I mean? And everybody's going to show up with pitchforks and things like that. And it's like, it's not so good. So that's on my list of things to talk about. You had your hand up before. Thanks, MC.
Yeah. Just on what we were just talking about and the silver aspect. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that there's a lot of silver in warheads. Warheads use a lot of silver.
Yep.
That's why they keep it cheap.
Yeah, for everything, right? Like there's a whole bunch of things that they're incentivized. And they've got a huge amount of dark money. Like right now in Ontario, Doug Ford is paying the electricity companies from our tax dollars, because if he doesn't do that, then our tax bill or our electricity bill that we get would be double. So we're paying for our electricity bill twice. We just don't realize it. Part of it's in taxes, right? And it's like, if you don't realize that we're subsidizing the price of silver and gold through taxes, then that can go on forever because you just won't realize. You just don't know. You're like, oh, everything's so expensive. Whereas if you expose the fraud, then like maybe shit can change. Maybe, right?
Yeah. I think it'd be really interesting to see if the metals were actually valued at their actual value.
Well, silver is
interesting to see if it happened.
Silver is absolutely not. It is absolutely not. It is way undervalued. Huge, massively undervalued. Like you can see silver go up. Like you can see it start to try and kind of follow gold like when gold rises, you can see silver rise. But it then gets reset, and it was at $25 an ounce forever. And then it got up to $29 an ounce, and people were like, oh, silver's going on a tear. And I was like, what? Like, are you crazy? And like, so I don't know what it's at now. Does anybody know the price of silver? Is it above 40 yet? Yeah, 50?
I think last I heard it was still under like 30 US. I'm not sure. Yeah. Our Canadian dollars it's like monopoly money.
Yeah,
it has no value.
It's kind of crap. Yeah, that's true.
But
$46.
One more thing about Fort Knox.
Yep.
About Fort Knox, I can't help but keep thinking about Die Hard 3.
The bomb. The bomb one.
Where they robbed all the gold.
Is that what? Oh man, I'll have to rewatch Die Hard 3.
Die Hard. Yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's what.
Yeah, with Sam. I didn't like it because I didn't like Sam Jackson's character. He was all like, "Why are you so racist, bro?" And what's his face? John McClane was like, "What are you talking?" Yeah, Bruce Willis was like, "Whatever, dude." So the whole thing, I was like, "This guy." I hated the character. I hated Sam Jackson's character in that one. So I haven't watched like the first and second Die Hard are Christmas, almost every Christmas, right? Not every, well, almost every Christmas, but all the rest of the Die Hards. But the seventh one, the one where they do the fire sale and the digital one, I thought that was interesting because that was a little bit of predictive programming as well, right?
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh yeah, it's the one with the little mousy. I'm a Mac, I'm a PC guy. I think he's the one who's the Mac guy. The guy who plays the doctor. I think he's the guy who plays the doctor in Idiocracy.
Okay. No, I definitely didn't see that.
You should check it out. It's interesting. And then like it came out in the 2000s. I don't think it was post 2010, maybe early 2010s. No, it was before that. And it's like looking up now, it's like watching V for Vendetta. You're like, they did what now? So in V for Vendetta, the government released a virus to control the population.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one who had seen that when COVID started. I was like, didn't anybody else see V for Vendetta? This is kind of the plot out of that movie.
Yeah.
Even my roommate, it was his favorite movie, and he went and got vaccinated. I'm like, I live in a crazier world.
You're like, what? Are you kidding, man?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Thanks, Stu. Bill.
Right, thank you.
And then we can talk about 51st State as well. You can launch on that if you want to, Bill.
Yeah, sure. So both the Epstein list and the 51st State, Trump's looking to make deals with friendly provinces. I'm pretty sure that's all it is. Why would he want to inherit the problems that we have with like the governments of Quebec and the government of Ontario and Saskatchewan, especially BC? I think if he wanted BC, he'd only go in there so Holman could arrest Evie and throw him in jail for the rest of his natural life. Drug dealer.
Now the reason, right? I was going to say because they've aligned. If you are helping the cartels you're a terrorist. I played Homan on the show today, and he is not just talking about people who are domestic. He is going to crush people. So you're not wrong, man. I think the DB is going to have some legal issues.
Him, Henry, and so, but you know what I mean? Like he's because let's face it, if he wanted to, he could put all sorts of tax incentives and everything else and pump money into even the auto parts industry, and they just migrate on out of Ontario.
I think that's happening anyway. I think that's in process. Yeah, I think it's Trump has said I don't need their. I don't
Why would you take all the garbage that goes with it, all our baggage? Like, you're going to have Quebec sitting there, and all of a sudden it's going to be like California on steroids with 1/10 the amount of people or whatever. But then on the Epstein list, because I often, you sit there and you go like, where would you start? I just start alphabetically and just let her rip. Now, is it going to be a whole whack more? Like when you look at, say, the people that were there, it's going to be interesting to me anyways, the amount of people that are going to sit there and say, well, no, I didn't know what was going on. I went there, and then next thing you know, like Carney sitting there in a pool, if that wasn't AI generated or whatever, with a pool right next to Epstein with a bunch of little bimbettes behind them sort of thing. I'm going like, I don't know there, Mark C. This looks to me like there was more than going on there than your wife. Where was your wife in all of this?
Do you know
what I mean?
Do you remember there's a picture of Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin everything, and he's like water skiing, and he's got like a naked woman on him, like as a backpack. At first, like how much? Like I don't think I'm hanging on to somebody who's water skiing, because that's gonna hurt if you fall and like naked. Like that whole thing's weird. But the whole thing, like these, I don't know. I think you're right. Like anybody who, if there's a list released, everybody and their dog is going to be like, listen, maybe I'm on that list, but I was a straight up business associate. I did nothing untoward. Everything we did was above board. It was charitable stuff. We were doing charity stuff. You know what I mean? And
that being said,
so you got to counter that.
If he had the whole place wired for sound, and if it looked like the FBI has all that, and now that Kash Patel's taken over the FBI, if those documents are still there, or tapes or this or that, that could raise a whole new level of shit show for them.
Oh, right? Well, yeah. I mean, if Kash Patel can walk in there and actually, but that's what I need. That's what I mean. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just unleash an angry mob on a list of people. You have to. It has to be managed. It has to.
Bring receipts.
Yeah, well, right. And it has to be like we reasonably think these things happened, and we're going to investigate it and get to the bottom of it. And like, you can't pull the trigger on like,
that's probably why it's sitting on Bondi's desk. Yeah. They've probably already got it there. She's going through it to see how legitimate everything is. But
it's a lot of power. It's a lot of power too. Like if I'm Pam Bondi, right? Absolutely. Like, and that's on me. Like, holy shit. I've got to figure out a way, because like I think that people on the list are innocent and don't deserve to and like shouldn't be exposed. No, I think that probably if you're on the list, there's probably something. But like just because you're on the list does not mean that you should be crucified. Things should be investigated. You should have a right to defend yourself. You should have a right.
Process, right?
Yeah, right. Like we're not animals. You know what I mean? Like these people may be animals, but we're not animals, and we can figure out a way to do this in a humane way. But like, yes, we do need to do it. We do need to figure it out. And so I'm interested with how it shakes out. But I know also that there's issues with it.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think they have the right people in place now to be able to.
Kash Patel looks solid.
Oh yeah,
hope so.
And Bondi, I'm pretty sure, like, she's pretty straight up too. So I honestly think that it's going to be interesting over the course of the next little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. Thanks, Bill. MC.
Yeah, well, you guys said pretty much what I was going to say. Like, you do have to have evidence and stuff like that. Like, you can't just but now so much time has passed. Like, who's had access to this list? Whose list is it?
The order, the custody, the order of chain of custody. You know what I mean? Like is this Epstein's black book? Is this a file? Where did it come from originally? Where was it originally created? You know what I mean? Like what's the other information surrounding it? Is there metadata backing it up? Is there more than one source? The black book and the flight log and the, something else on Epstein Island and the painting of what's his face in a blue dress. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because, on closer examination, this guy wasn't in the book, but his name's on the spreadsheet because we knew he would have been on the book if he could have.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like, exactly. But our investigation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
You mentioned paying for stuff twice, and it reminded me of a few months ago when two different places way across the province from each other both said, hey, I was at the supermarket buying my lunch for work the next day, and they were like, do you want to donate to the hospital? And I'm like, didn't I already pay for the hospital? Like, I paid all these taxes.
Yeah.
Didn't they, like, hey, didn't you do hospital with that money? You said you were going to do hospital. Where's hospital?
Yep.
Like, now you want me to, now the supermarket? Like, this is why I don't trust any charity at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one. Because it's almost like these guys are sitting there and like thinking of any single way they can get another dollar out of your hands.
Yes.
Right. We're taxing. We've also got this fake charity for the hospital that you forget you already paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to pretend to recycle your garbage if you sort it out. And we're going to fine you if you don't sort it out.
Mm-hmm. Like, this micromanagement of our lives about everything. You know what I mean? Like, and
yes,
I know people who work in the dump and the trash area, sorting garbage and like intaking garbage, not really sorting garbage, but we have to sort our garbage here in Guelph, and we were one of the first people to do it. And like, it's like, it all goes to the same place anyway. I was like, what? Like, I'm outraged.
Yeah, well, and they never come back and admit that and say we should close this program down because we're not doing it.
Recycling? Do you know about recycling? Do you know how big of a scam of recycling is? I did a show on it in 2018, like one of my early shows. I was like, I wonder how much money because recycling was sold as a program that was going to pay for itself because they're creating product. They're putting in this free thing, glass or whatever it is, plastic, and they're extracting product that they could then use to like make stuff. But that's not what happened. And the program just got more and more expensive, and it was taxpayer supported. And now it's just this big boondoggle. And we believe that we're actually doing good. But in actuality, what we're doing is we're loading up these garbage plastics onto barges and sending them to the Philippines. And the Philippine prime minister or president is like, get this garbage out of here. I don't need this. Seriously, that's what we're doing.
Right there, they should be like, it's going to pay for itself, but you have to pay for it. What? That's not paying for itself.
Right. You're not wrong there, man. Yeah, that's the opposite of paying for itself.
About 53rd state stuff, is Trump going to give Quebec equalization? Because
No, I think that's part of the fun of this. It's that like we're going to rip the Band-Aid off. It's just going to be like
biggest part of the fun for me. Because then they'll be like, oh yeah, well, screw you, we'll be our own country and
okay, guys, have fun.
Yeah, we can
That'll be
build
great.
A pipeline right through New England.
Yeah, for real, right? Like no problems.
Actually, I think there is one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the pipeline situation, it solves a whole lot of problems. And like, I think that, Trump was saying that he really liked Canada. He'd probably tolerate the French, but we'll see.
It's hard sometimes. Well, actually, this is gonna, you're racist. Okay. Some French people are great, but it's like there's no middle ground. They're either great or they're really freaking annoying.
Yeah.
There's no.
I'm like
there's
that
not
too.
An average French person. There's.
I feel like I'm like that. Like there are people who are like, yeah, Mark's really good, and then like other people meet me and they're like, oh, I can't stand that guy, right? Like I feel it has more to do with me. Like my interpretation of if somebody's tolerable or not, right? Like, and French people, I'm trying to learn French. I've had very patient French people trying to help me with my like pronunciation and things like that. So, but I hear what you're saying, and it's like,
in my experience, only when you're trying to learn French do the French that would have otherwise been annoying become tolerable.
Fair enough. I'm not doing it.
only because they know you're trying to learn French. If you try to talk to them in English,
that's it.
It's just bad news.
I'm not in Quebec either, trying to learn French, so that's the other thing too. Although, you know, I've known Quebecers to be fine too. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it'll be an interesting, like you've got Europe and they've got a whole bunch of different languages, right? And sure, most of the United States is English, but there's Utah, right? So,
well, and people in Europe don't like each other.
No, they tolerate each other. But France and England,
depending where you go, they tolerate each other. But look at the former Yugoslavia.
Yeah, well, right there you go. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's an interesting. I just don't think it's off the table. And I think that anybody who dismisses it as like the 51st state stuff, anybody who dismisses it as just Trump trolling, although he is trolling, like he has picked up on the fact that people are like finding this funny. And so he's using that, whatever. But I think the message behind it is serious. I think that he's absolutely serious. And I think that the barriers in the way, Canada's broke and weak. And we are already relying on the United States to be our number one customer and protect our Arctic region. So like, if all of that were true, we might have something to say, but it's not true. And so we're kind of sitting here going, shit, you know, like, I wonder what he's going to do.
I can't believe people are still acting like it's completely unfounded. Like Trump doesn't have intelligence services that tell him, like, hey, did you know that the biggest Chinese money laundering operation in the world is in Vancouver?
And Toronto? Did you know that, TD Bank?
Did you know that China is the biggest source of fentanyl ingredients, and there's a huge Chinese presence in Canada, and they own the government?
And Canada's turning a blind eye?
Say something about that.
Right.
And then he goes and says something about that.
Bing, 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 bing. And then people like me go, yeah, I mean, look at the configuration we're in. And then other people say, oh, you're a traitor. And it's like, I'm not trying to be a traitor. I'm just trying to articulate correctly where we are in this game. And where we are in this game is screwed. We're about to be absorbed by another player, like soon. So yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. Thanks, MC. Max?
About all the Epstein list, I want to believe it'll come out, and because of the U.S., I think it might. But like, we've been blue-balled before with it.
You're
like,
not wrong.
3 times.
That's the perfect terminology. It's the perfect terminology for what's happening. It's like, oh, we're so close. Oh my gosh, we're kidding.
I want to believe, but until we actually get a name like list is out there, I'm not holding my breath. However, I'm more interested about like the JFK and MLK assassination files that are also going to be declassified.
One of the things that somebody reminded me about the other day, and they said that March Madness is supposed to be one of the times that is, well, Q is very active during that, and he was saying everybody's going to find out during like March is going to be March Madness, and so maybe it'll be soon. Fingers crossed. But I think that if we get one name, it's going to be fast and furious. It's not going to be like the OJ trial and then the second name drops and then another OJ trial and then the third.
Well,
name
like, imagine.
I think it's going to be like
if it's like, okay, you are getting one name a day. And then just like drag it out for months or something.
Maybe,
like that.
But then they'd have to have a purpose for that. You know what I mean? Like they'd have to have a reason because like they had 10 documents. They had for the Pfizer stuff. The Pfizer guys wanted to hide it for 75 years, and the judge said no. You have to release this amount of documents every Friday until all the documents are released or whatever. Right? So if they did that, cache of names, like here's what we're doing. Here's the structure of the release, and we're going to release it, you know, every Tuesday so that we give each its due. You know what I mean? Like, so no names get lost, because you don't want to, MC's laughing, but you don't want to have a situation who died and then another bigger famous or more famous person died on the same day. And it's like, oh man, you don't want to be that guy. You know, like you don't want to die on the same day as some other, you know, Macho Man dies on the same day as like somebody else. But it recently happened.
Joe from accounting.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, but no, like another famous person, you know, like Cher, but Cher's still alive, right? Like you're like, oh man, you don't want to be Macho Man if Cher also died on the day. Like anyway, it's the same kind of, maybe not.
And then about the 51st state, like obviously Trump has people that are like telling him what's going on. He obviously has like intelligence. Like of course he knows this. And Carney's probably going to cook us even more. because it's looking like Carney's going to win.
Well, yeah, he's already operating in the role. Yeah, the whole liberal. So, color me surprised when all of the liberal leadership removed all the non-white people from contention, right? Like, so Karina Gould, Frank Bayless, Mark Carney. I mean, the yellow teeth are, but and Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney are familial. Like, he's her son's godfather, and so like that's gauche. That's a little weird. You know what I mean? Like that's a strange. I wouldn't think to myself, well, having a competition against this person who's in my family is a good idea. You know what I mean? I'd avoid that, I think. So the whole thing is, maybe it was Farrah Fawcett. Yeah. Was it Farrah Fawcett? So right, like it's a situation where you're always behind, right? It's just bad. I think it's bad. It's not good. Thanks, Max. Ron.
I have no idea where we are. We've covered so much ground, and somehow we're still talking about like this soap opera that's put in front of us, right? Like whether it's Canada or US, it's obviously entwined. Like we're not far off the base, but it's insane that a bunch of men like us, I'm here, but we're sitting around the hens table. This is hilarious, and nothing's getting done. And I like to think we're kind of the thinkers of the thinkers, and wow.
Well, but at this point,
we've fallen into the trap.
So Donald Trump, I think that what's happened is Donald Trump was, and I have receipts to prove this. I'm not making this up. Like I've been watching this since 2016, since before that. I think he was recruited. He had a team around him. They had a plan. They were responding to exactly what we're responding to now. Like you're saying, we're, people sitting around, right? They sat around and actually planned. They had a plan. They just needed certain linchpin people. And so like he took 4 years at the beginning to map out what they were going to do, like the people in power. So he kept them close. He appointed people on reputation like Christopher Wray, et cetera, et cetera. Then the second 4 years, Biden came in. They thought they won. They thought they got rid of him, that he would never be able to access elected office again because they were going to put him in jail. They were going to indict him. They were going to kill him. They were going to do everything they needed to do to get rid of Donald Trump in that 4 years. But all they did was incriminate themselves. And now Trump's back. And so like, I think that us people who are kind of sitting around saying like, what do? We're on this ride. You know what I mean? Like at this point in time,
I didn't mean anything bad about it.
No, but I feel bad about it. I feel bad. Like I feel like we haven't done enough.
Well, I appreciate that you're here every day to kind of help us guide us through it because it's an insane mess out there.
It's crazy.
And I don't think anything's new. I don't like there's people like us, 200 years ago talking about a bunch of crazy guys plotting to take over the world, right?
Yep. Different tech.
I just don't think it's changed. Yeah, different tech. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think these are valuable. And it's funny, when like I think it's valuable to hear what everybody thinks because like what's going on is nuts, right? But also like it was in my head and then it's gone. I'll try and remember.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't remember my original thoughts either. The whole 51st state thing, it drives me nuts, right? Like the story is, I said it in the chat. We're headed to like the North American Union, city state, Hunger Games, Brave New World. Like
I hope not.
We trapped Toronto in with the 407. We built ring roads around Calgary and Winnipeg. The money's taken over. I don't know. It was pretty clear the way it's all going. And Trump he's still steering things the same way as it was going. It's just the other tribes taking over and they're controlling the pendulum, right? But they're still pushing us in the same way.
Maybe. I think that there's been some significant changes with USAID losing their funding. Like a lot of the dark money that was funding a lot of the really subversive stuff is run out. There's not the money for the protests and things like that. So like I hear what you're saying, but I think that it's more like Tai Chi. Like you can't. like using the momentum of what's happened to roll it into a gold standard. You know what I mean? Rather than have a big break and have a really, really hard societal kind of shift, just Tai Chi it a little bit more. But that the details take a long time and it takes a lot of planning. I guess that was the point I was trying to make, that like Trump setting up those 8 years and now coming back to action at all. And we're kind of along for the ride. Like, I don't know if plans we make now here or wherever for Canada will be valid in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't do it. You can't make a plan like we're going to save Canada in 1 year. That's not going to work, because like we need to get people who are interested in funding our thing, and we have to grow everything. And you know what I mean? Even Trump went in and made the Republican Party into the MAGA party, right? And like shortcut.
Oh, for sure. Well, the hindsight on the whole Q thing, if people totally dismiss it and think it's like it comes from somewhere.
Oh, it
and
does.
Until you figure that out.
It does.
Like, and if you don't think it does, you're completely you're out to lunch or a disinformant at that. Anyway, I'll continue.
I think it's different. I think they're just missing one aspect of like the most interesting show that's like, this is the most interesting movie I've ever seen. Like, because this is a show. This is for the benefit of the public to be read in on what's happened. And like, there have been coups and counter coups and like false counter coups that look like they worked until Donald Trump was inaugurated the second time. You know what I mean? Like, this is and it's 10 years, and like something like the stakes are real high, and it's very interesting. But somebody said to me, a friend of mine said to me, the Q thing's bullshit. They're just mimicking a Saudi operation that was done to keep the public docile, to keep the public from not uprising. And I think that the reason Q happened was to facilitate that plan, to prevent the public from uprising, because Trump needed time to operate, and Trump needed time to operate to fake out the deep state. And I talked about this on my show the other week, but I'll reiterate. The first time he went into office, he allowed the deep state to dictate his transition. He allowed them to appoint a whole bunch of cabinet, allowed them to appoint the inner circle, the presidential aides, the insiders, all of those people. Mike Bolton was in there, a whole bunch of other people. Trump went in the first time to map it out, and he put people in who by reputation should have been able to do the job and loyal to the United States. And so if you're a president who thinks everything's above board, and you get presented, here's Christopher Wray, he should be the next director because Comey's terrible, right? You get presented with this guy, by reputation he looks good, so he puts Wray in there, but Trump knows that Wray's a snake, but he's putting him there to allow him to act like a snake for the next 4 years, where Trump knows that he's not going to be there because they're going to steal the election from him. And he's putting in contingency plans while he's in office in the first time, using a Q back channel to make sure people, patriots, knew that something was happening. It wasn't just Trump being an idiot, right? And so like, there's something to it. And like, people can dismiss it, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me if people dismiss it and say, oh, it's a psyop. The layers to what's going on right now are unbelievable. I don't have it all sussed out. I certainly don't. But I think it's interesting watching the interplay, like what normies think, what people like conspiracy-minded people think, what bankers and all the rest of it think. It all kind of mixes up, and like the show is so interesting. And again, I think it is a show. Like, I think we're being exposed to or being read in to what's actually been going on, and it's by design. So I don't know, but it's interesting. So thanks, Ron. Do.
Hey, okay. Super quick Epstein list. I don't think even if we got one, it would be a legit unredacted list of the people. But on the 51st state thing, like Ron said, this goes back to NAFTA and the North American Union and the Amero. And I think they just know that Trump got away with the lockdowns and the vaccinations, so he's probably the best guy to use to try to do it again.
Yeah, I've certainly heard that. Yeah,
that's the goal in the end. But on the Trump thing, Trump is clearly part of the machine that's been running things forever. Super quick, I suggest if anybody has time to kill, go on Rumble and look up Attilia Childs Exposes Freemasonry, and go on Tubi and watch the new Atlantis. Those two things will put so much into context worldwide for
maybe
what we know of his history.
I've certainly heard that. It doesn't seem to fit. Like, it doesn't look like Trump's working with the same people who have enslaved the West. He doesn't look like he's working with the people who had control of the presidency before he was inaugurated this time. He seems to have more control over things now. But the other, like, I think if he is a part or working against sanity, trying to take control, if he's a part of group, I would hazard to guess that it would be a competing group. Like right now there's Group A, and they've got control of the United States and the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, so on and so forth. And Trump's group doesn't have control of anything. They have control. Well, now they have control of the United States, but they had control of certain factions of the military and so on and so forth. But they're growing their control, and so like I think that it's competing groups. But I just don't see Trump being on the same side as the group that is trying to the depopulation sun worshiper people. But I don't know. Like I have no idea. It could be, but. It doesn't seem like that. They're so close to winning. Like Trump is nothing but an ointment in their is a fly in their ointment, right? Like he's not letting them get to the next step. And so like I don't know why. I can't say like, oh, he's definitely on our side, et cetera, because I don't know yet, right? Like his actions are going to speak much louder than me trying to defend him. And so like what he's doing has a purpose and a reason, and it may be to the benefit of another group, but also he may just be sane. I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. He might be the bad guy, but I can't see, it doesn't make any sense to me if you were like on the cusp of victory with your totalitarian, medical tracing state, why you would inject Donald Trump to be that chaos. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. Fit. And like the things that he's doing, it doesn't fit. Like if he was doing, Catherine Fitz was talking about like defunding USAID, defunding the WHO, defunding and removing themselves from NATO and removing themselves from the United Nations. And she was saying like, that's good. Like those things are good. And if he does those things, that's better. And so like, it's only for me, I can just sit back and watch, you know what I mean? At this point in time, like I've said to Ron, like we're on the ride now. Like there weren't any better circumstances. The people who wanted change got exactly what they wanted. Although Trump's cabinet is very Israel first, and people are not. People are concerned about that, including me. But that's the perfect point. Is the Israel angle? Yeah. Is that it all goes back to through secret societies. That's why I say that I knew Trump was part of it when he was running the first time, because when he was speaking all the time, all he did was make two hand symbols, and those are just the same as gang symbols. And if you go and watch those two things I suggested, it makes it, you can see that goes back to when Bush and Kerry were running against each other, and they're both part of Skull and Bones. Yale. Yeah. If they have that much control at that point, there's no way that they ever lost control, and it's always been the same thing. And it's the gang symbols. It's the one thing that you can see that no matter what language you speak, if you're seeing that, you know, and you can see it, and that's their gang symbols. Yeah, that's how I knew Trump was back in 2016. I'll check it out. Yeah, check it out, Mark. Seriously. Yeah, thanks. Thanks to you, Ryan.
Yeah, the Epstein's list there. I agree with you guys. They need evidence to go with all that. That's just what has to happen, and then arrests, action, right? With the evidence. So. Well,
I'm more encouraged with Puff Daddy's list than with Epstein's list, because Puff Daddy's alive still, for now anyway. Like we'll see. His lawyer just quit and all the rest. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, because that seemed like there was like J-Lo and Ben Affleck and all the rest. And I mean, like I stay away from celebrity gossip and all the rest of it unless it touches kind of the political world. And it's interesting because like the Puff Daddy stuff does touch the political world because of the freak off parties that politicians attended and things like that. Justin Bieber's targeting and grooming by Usher and Puff Daddy and all the rest. Like all that stuff's friggin' crazy, right?
Well, I wonder like the same people are on the same list. Like Puff Daddy's
right?
list.
What's the cross pop? Yeah, what's the cross pollination? And like, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of cross pollination between the two lists. You know, so like, it's crazy stuff. And I think the reality of the world, like, they're stealing trillions from us, right? Like, that sounds friggin' crazy. Like, that sounds absolutely bonkers. But the more crazy it sounds, the less likely people are to believe it, because it sounds crazy. But if it's true, like, I'd like to know, you know what I mean? And I think the truth sounds absolutely crazy. I think that if you articulate the truth to somebody who's, it's like telling somebody in 2021, masks don't work and COVID is just the flu. Like, stop it, please. Because they can't hear you. They won't listen to you. They think you're talking nonsense, right? They think you're spreading dangerous misinformation, which is the danger with all of this censorship stuff.
Yeah. With the 51st state there, like, Trump got in. Trump knew what he was going to do before he was voted in and stuff like that. Like, he planned the tariffs. He knows what's going on. He knew this wasn't just off the cuff thing. Oh, the tariffs, everything that's going on. I agree with you. Like, back when he was president for the first 4 years, and then Biden got in. I agree with all of that. And I think one of the big things is, like, his assassination attempt. I don't think that was rigged. That was real. And I think that had a part of a change in him, where he's like, yeah, okay, we got to do something here. And for the last 31 days he's been doing a whole bunch of different things, bringing things out. With the 51st state, it's real. And it doesn't matter if it's going to happen in 4 years, 10 years, it's going to happen. That's my opinion. It depends on how we deal with it as Canadians. We can either like, listen to Trump kind of and go the easy way in and just become the 51st state, or in the next 4 or 5 years, who else is going to get in? And then the army comes in, the United Nations comes in, all that stuff comes back. China comes in, India comes in, and just takes over no matter what. Yeah. And then
China's already taken over. Yeah. I think we're in an untenable situation now. And I think you guys were talking about Trump, you know, having information, et cetera. I think that Canada represents an untenable national security risk to the United States already. And Trump's taking steps to stop it. And, like, I think you're right. It depends on what we do, not necessarily as Canadians, but our leadership. And if Canada if the threat increases, I think, not that it'll force Trump's hand. I think Trump's plan is the same no matter what. It's just timeline, if that makes sense. And I agree with you. But at the same time, Trump is fast in his, like, when he's made a decision, he goes forward with it, right? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. No. My question is, do you think
now get protection? We would get protection with Trump
from China
in the next. In the next 8 years, it's going to be China that comes in.
Yep.
There's no protection.
Yep. Right.
Well, like, even right now, we're infiltrated by China, India. Our governments are infiltrated. We're going to be in real pain here in a bit when the system resets, the monetary system, I'd say.
Yeah. We'll have an adjustment to make. That's for sure. Thanks, Ryan. Ron, and then Bill, and then MC, and then I got to go because I got a hockey game. So, Ron.
Awesome seeing you guys. I'll talk to you later. I didn't know I had my hand up.
Oh, sorry, man. Cheers, Ed. Bill.
It's all good.
Back to, like, all of this. Trump's obviously had the intel probably in the first term.
Definitely.
And even him coming up, like, and basically saying, you've got this, and this going on. Short of, say Daniel Smith basically saying, you know what, we're going to put our own people on the border. We're going to do what we can to do this. You'll notice the tells from everybody else hopping on board Team Canada, like tripping over their wee-wees to get on there and flying right in the face of it, when all they really had to do was turn around and say, yeah, you know what? We have a problem here. We have to do something about this. And then actually put something in place as far as actions go. I think the whole Team Canada thing is a bigger tell in my mind as to who's compromised in the end.
Oh yeah,
than anything else.
Well, it's all the Team Canada people are the same people who are doing, stay home, stay safe, lockdown, blah 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 nonsense.
Absolutely. And also the same people at this point that are probably so heavily compromised by the Chinese communists that they don't know whether to crap or wind their watches at this point, because if and when, and probably it'll be more when than if, Trump finally has enough and says, you know what, I'm going to put a big old information dump here on X or wherever. And then we've got something that'll make the Epstein and the pity things or whatever look like a walk in the park for these guys, just how bad and how evil they were. Going back to all of this evil, bread and circuses. Remember the debauchery that took place before the fall of Rome. Mm-hmm. Like just the horror shows that were in the Colosseum and that, compared to say like something like say Pizzagate, and can imagine the horror going on in the back rooms there. Mm-hmm. Or even the Picton Pig Farm, where all of a sudden he's thinking about writing a tell-all book or something like that and saying, you know what, I think I got a couple of people, including one guy that likes to wear fancy socks. Again, that's just out there, I guess. I don't know. And then all of a sudden he ends up getting murdered. Well, he's been in jail for how long already and not gotten murdered?
Yep. Yeah, super interesting. They know where you live if you're in jail.
Absolutely, right?
Scary stuff. Thanks, Bill. MC.
Well, Mark, you're right about what you were saying before about like large scale plans. You can't make any because you don't know what Trump's going to do. But you can make household plans. Mm-hmm. You can buy some cans of stew and stuff and some chickens. Well, maybe you can get chickens. I don't know if Welsh lets you.
Yeah, we can. But, for now, anyway.
But, you could, I don't know, make arrangements at your cabin for the neighbors to feed your goats or something. Indeed. Like people can do stuff to make it, yes. I guess.
Yeah, there were people who said during the 1930s, like during the Depression, the only reason they were able to survive starvation was because of vegetable gardens. Their relatives or neighbors gave them extra, and like that was the only way they were able to make it through, type deal. So, pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, you can certainly mitigate. I'm just saying, like for big. My point wasn't necessarily sit back and do nothing for yourself. Like I think it's good to have, like water and be prepared for disaster, have a bug out place. You know what I mean? Like be aware of the things, the real things, dangers that could happen. But the planning of an overthrow of a tyrannical government, like holy smoke. You know what I mean?
You need more than one person for that.
And I feel bad. Who do you get? Who can you trust? Like, I feel bad. Like, not that during, at the beginning, like when I started my show and like 2018, 2019, I really thought that like just people weren't well informed enough. And if they just had the time to be more informed, or if it was like the right medium or whatever, and I can do my little thing to help out, right? And I'm not saying I was trying to fix it, but I feel bad. Like the person who wants to stop the freight train. You know what I mean? Like I see the danger coming down the tracks. I see what it's going to hit. And yeah, like I can get my stuff out of the way, and I'm going to stand off here and be safe as I can be in this disaster that's going to unfold in front of me. But it's like, I feel bad because I see it, and like I have a cell phone. I could call the train operator and say, stop the train or whatever, but it's still not going to do anything. I'm not going to be able to affect the change I'm trying to affect. And so like, I don't know. And I've seen further, people think that, it's going to get bad enough that people are going to wake up. And I've seen that that's just not true. Like there's a country, Sri Lanka, there's a country that went full on the DEI stuff. They collapsed. People were starving. And then they put in another DEI guy. They put in another WEF DEI woke crazy person. I think it's Sri Lanka, but I could be wrong on that. It was Kuala Lumpur, maybe. Anyway, I can't remember. But it was just last year, right? They collapsed. It was a big thing. The people were doing a full blown uprising, and then within 6 weeks they put in another WEF puppet to continue milking them of their money and stuff. And so like this train's going to hit, and then it's going to keep going, and then it's going to hit like the next town too. You know what I mean? And I'm just standing here and I feel terrible because like I wasn't effectively able to tell enough people to get off the tracks. You know what I mean? Like some people did. You guys are here. It's great, right? But like, damn, you know? And like I see Donald Trump it seems to be pulling off something nigh impossible at this point in time, which is like unbelievable. And I think, shit, man, like friggin' high five. I hope he succeeds. And so it's interesting, but I know how hard it is to coordinate something like that because it's next to impossible to get a team together, to get people you can trust to actually be able to operate and things like that. And like just the United States is a huge country. Just being able to move around effectively and to talk to the people that you need to talk to do it is a task in and of itself, right? So it's a monumental task. And so I don't know that it's even effective. Effective is the wrong answer, but like the wrong thing. But I don't even know that it would be effective if I was like, okay, we're going to save Canada. Let's go, people. And like, we're going to take over the Conservative Party and reform it into what it should be, a MAGA or Canadian MAGA party or whatever it is, you know, follow that model or something like that. But like, it just doesn't seem realistic. So I don't know.
No, the Chinese will have it infiltrated and destroyed. Like, and but it seems too that like a lot of awake people are also kind of sitting around going like it's like people think someone is going to come in the room like your mother and like, now you put that country down and go to your room.
Yeah.
And
that's not how it works.
Over now.
That's right. That's not how it works. But it does work. Like we're watching Donald Trump do things. You know what I mean? And like we're watching like the Liberal Party. Everybody hates Justin Trudeau. He said, I'm gonna resign someday. And everybody was like, okay, thank goodness for that, right? Like now we feel better. And so like they're playing a game, and the game is, can I stay in power another day and continue this bullshit? And they're winning. And because we're not even united enough to get rid of these treasonous a-holes, right? Like, and so it's crazy. And I don't think it's that we're not united enough. I make this point all the time, and I don't like victim blaming. So I'm not saying, you know, darn you Canadians for not doing anything. I think our system is rigged. And if we tried to upset this system, they'd do to us what they're doing to Tamara Litch or Chris Barber or Pat King. I'm glad Pat King didn't get 10 years in jail. That's good. But like we'd get slammed. You know what I'm saying? And so like, man, it's hard. It's a hard thing because I see the train, I see the danger and the damage that's going to happen, and I can't do a damn thing about it. And I know it. And I'm like, well, I'll just do my little show then, and laugh about it, ish. Laugh about the details. Talk about the soap opera. I don't know. Anyway, I do my best. Thanks, MC. And then I gotta kill it because we gotta go. I gotta go.
Cool. I just want to say, Mark, thank you for what you do.
Sure.
I love your show. I've been cutting my podcast down to a handful, and you're part of that handful.
Thanks, man.
I just wanted to ask one thing. If I respond to the email that you sent, can I contact you that way and send you links and stuff for your show?
Yeah, that's fine. You can.
You might be
can
interested?
do that. Sure. Yep. Yeah, that's okay.
Cool, because I know somebody who's been filming the drones down here on the East Coast, and
cool.
I can give you some exclusive footage.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That and
yeah,
keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome.
Cheers, man. Thanks. And I guess on that note, I'll end it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for showing up this week, and it's nice to see you guys here and out there. And we'll see you next time.